Bex Network.
This is Dumb for Love, a twice-monthly podcast celebrating hope, heartache, and the ridiculous lengths humans will go to in the name of love. What's the dumbest thing you've done for love?
Hello all, this is Jean Morrison, your host of Dumb for Love. I wanted to take a moment and just talk about the purpose of this podcast. This was truly created in the hopes of people coming together and sharing their stories, because we all have stories, right? And so that we could feel a little bit less dumb in hearing the fact that other people have gone through pretty much the same thing that we have, done things that we have, experienced things that we have. So we encourage you to join us on here and share your story about anyone you have ever had a relationship with that has wronged you in any way, made you feel less than or unimportant, or just ruined your life or stole your money. So go to our website, give us a call, because we look forward to having you on future episodes. This is a dream come true for me. I've been thinking about this podcast for a while, so I'm glad to share this with you and enjoy the ride. Let's get on with the show. I am so excited to welcome my first guest. I could not think of a better person to have on for my premiere episode than my BFF in the whole world, Miss Alex. I believe I've known her forever. I think it's been forever.
I think it's been at least forever, maybe six ever. I'm not sure.
And I mean, I thought I knew everything there was to know about your love life and your stories, but I have a feeling I'm going to be surprised by some of the things I hear for the story that you're about to share on this wonderful podcast about all the dumb things we do for love. So I'm scared and excited, but mostly scared.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
So let's get into the story, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of things that I know and a lot that I don't.
I think that's probably pretty close to accurate. I'm just going to get at it from the very beginning. And Whenever you have a question, feel free to hop in there.
Okay. That sounds good.
So I'm going to change some names. But the story is the story. This is exactly how it all played out. I'm going to tell you all the details.
And if your story had a title, what would it be?
The dumbest motherfucker on the planet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. Let's hear it.
So many years ago, I was a member of a webcam community, not the dirty kind, just the kind where people hang out and talk.
Damn.
And I made a friend on this community, and we will call him Nick. We'll call him Nick, just for the sake of being kind, because I am a kind person.
You're way nicer than me, because I would be
in
dropping
retrospect
names.
Is probably how this whole thing ended up to be what it was, is because I was too fucking nice. So
okay, so what did Nick do?
So we started talking, and this was at a time in my life when I really just needed the attention of somebody that I thought understood me, you know, and not just a friendship, but something a little more than that. But at the basis of all of it, we were friends. And then some feelings started to develop, but our entire relationship was very much across the internet. So we spoke on this webcam site very frequently, and we wrote to each other a lot, emailed each other a lot, and then that progressed into phone calls. And this is like, you know, I feel like this could have been on, what is that MTV show? Catfish.
Oh, God.
Like, I feel like my story starts off exactly like all of those start off.
Right. Internet love.
Yeah, it's, you know, it progressed that way. And over the course of several years, and I'm not talking like 1 or 2, but like 5 years, we maintained contact. And it was, you know, back and forth. And I had relationships and he had relationships. And we were not really anything more than sort of a home base, you know, to come back to and to talk and to discuss what's going on in life and to feel like someone is there for you, you know?
Yeah.
And I learned a lot about his life, and he told me lots of different things about, you know, his relationship status at different points during the time we knew each other. And, things that he was doing and places he was traveling. And, we talked about shit. And I told him, everything about my life because I don't keep secrets. Like I had no reason to, keep anything hidden from anyone. And I don't think it was naivety that caused me to, be this way with him. I felt like this was a person that I could talk to, and I did.
Yeah. And you knew him for several years and you made this trust.
But there were some extremely large red flags that I chose to ignore.
Red flags.
Starting with the fact that he never wanted to Skype with me.
Oh my God.
So
okay, wait. Now it's for my first question. What was his excuse?
There were 100 excuses.
Okay, give me like 2.
Okay, I'll start with the first one. My camera doesn't work, which I quickly remedied by saying, hey, you know what? A webcam is like $25. Let me mail you one. And he was like, no, I couldn't ask you to do that.
I don't know how to plug it in. Oh my God. So you never Skyped?
We did not Skype for a long time.
So is this like years that you didn't Skype?
Mm-hmm. Because, and like I said, at this point, the relationship, like, yes, there were feelings there, but we were not dating. And there was none of that even on the horizon at all. We were just friends, and he was someone that I talked to. So it was not a huge deal at this point because, like, the extent of our relationship had not gone further.
Okay, so a lot of time passed. He made up a lot of excuses not to Skype. That was red flag, but you kept going.
We kept going, yeah, because he was interesting and fun to talk to, and all those things that you tell yourself to get past the fact that something isn't right.
Right. But we have so much in common. What is Skype? Yeah. Okay, so then you guys continue.
We continue, and during these many years that we knew each other and talked and everything, there were times where we were not in touch. So for every year that we would be in touch minimally, maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, there would be a year where we wouldn't talk at all. So then some life things for me changed, and I sent him a message one night just because I was thinking about him. And it was just something like, hey, I hope you're doing okay. And
were you drunk?
Send me an email sometime.
Were you sober?
I was
was
sober.
This like a drunk text?
I'm not even going to blame any of this on alcohol because literally none of it was poor judgment based on alcohol. It was poor judgment solely on the fact that I was a dummy. So I sent him just a quick email. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Send me an email back when you can. I got one back almost immediately. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that you were thinking about me. I was just laying in bed thinking about you. And I was like, oh, well, how have you been? I haven't heard from you in a while. And we started talking. And then he's like, can I call you? And I was like, sure. So he gave me a call. And then he was like, I really want to talk to you about some things, but I want to write it in an email. And then I'd like to be on the phone with you while you read it so that you don't misunderstand anything.
That's a little bit weird.
Right? And I even found that weird, even in the midst of like not finding anything weird. I was like, that's a little strange.
Don't want to Skype, have no camera. And now I have to write you an email to express things that I can't say. But we're going to discuss after.
No, during.
Oh, during. Oh my God.
He wants to be on the phone with me while I'm reading this email.
Oh my God. Okay.
So he asked if I would send him a picture, not a dirty picture, just a regular picture. So I sent him a picture, sent it to his email. I got an email back, and the email that I got back was like, oh my God, you're more beautiful than I remember. And I can't believe that you still look the way you did when I first met you and blah, blah, blah. But the first thing I noticed about this email is that it came from an email address that I did not recognize, attached to a name that I did not recognize.
Okay.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? So but did you like investigate it, or was it just like, what the fuck is this? But I'm going to keep going. Immediately took the name and the email address and stuck it into the internet, because the other big, huge red flag that I chose to ignore is that this man did not have an internet footprint anywhere. And he said, I stay off of social media and blah, 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 and all these things and whatever kind of shit he said.
I stay off of the social media. Was he like 107? Okay.
So I took this name and this email address and I put it into Google and immediately found just tons of information about this person
Okay.
who apparently I had been talking to, but had told me that he was someone else.
Do you think that it was an accident or do you think it was on purpose?
I know it was an accident, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'm literally laying in bed while this is happening, and I'm Googling this name and finding all kinds of information about this person who I thought was Nick, but turned out to be Anthony.
You better remember these names as you keep going.
I am going to remember them.
Wow.
So I found a lot of information, and not all of it was dissimilar from what I had been told about this person and their life and blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
But some of it was. And I'm about 5 minutes deep into this internet espionage. So he called me, I guess, noticing the mistake. And I was like, and I played it real cool. I'm like, oh, you called back. You never call back right after we talk. And he was like, I have some things I have to tell you, and I have to tell you right now. And I'm like, oh, is that because you sent me an email from the wrong email address?
Oh, my God. So what did he say? Like, did he come clean or was he still trying to make things up?
No, he came clean. He did. He was like, I did tell you that my name was something else, but everything that I told you about my life was true. I just told you that things about me personally were different. And I'm like, I don't really understand the difference here. But
yeah. What's the point unless he's like running from the cops?
I was like, look, this is a lot for me to take in because I've literally been talking to you for more years than I've been with anybody ever. And I'm kind of pissed. If it's a matter of like the way you look or what you do for a living or whatever these things are, like I'm not a shallow person and these should not have been concerns for you.
So he never sent you a picture?
He did send me pictures. But not of him.
Oh.
But I didn't know that until much later.
So what were the pictures like that he sent you?
There were pictures of him with friends and like him with like sitting around having dinner or having a drink at a bar. Like these were normal photos that you would think a person would have. You know what I mean?
Man, that was crafty.
Right.
And how much later, what was the actual time gap between the pictures that you had of him and then knowing that that wasn't him?
I would say probably about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He must have had like the best fucking phone voice in the world or the best game because I know you, and to keep you there for 7 years with fake ass pictures where you haven't seen good phone sex. Did that take place?
He was a good storyteller. I will say that. In his professional life, at one point, he had been a writer. So he understood how to craft a story.
Gotcha.
And it was still not the kind of relationship where we had been dating. So all of these things that were red flags and all of these things that I could have looked into more but chose not to were not as important at the time because, yes, I had feelings for him, but we didn't even live in the same country. So
right. This was international love. You sent him sexy pics, right?
I did send him some sexy pics. Yes, I did.
Did he send you any back? Was it like dick pics so you can see his face?
No, he did not. And I did not request because I actually just kind of don't like dick pics.
Yeah. I don't know why people think that people like dick pics. No matter what your angle is, it's just not good. It's just not good.
Definitely a point
looks like an angry snake or just a blob, or sometimes you get like ball, dick, ball, and it's just weird.
It's like a division symbol.
It's like a division symbol. So what kind of sexy pictures did you send him? I gotta know this.
Nothing too risque. Actually, I sent him some pictures in like, my sexy clothes and sometimes in like lingerie. No like real hardcore nudes or anything because that's just not me as a person.
So you didn't send him any pictures of your vagina?
No. No.
Okay. So I am being way woke by this story. There's a lot more things that I had no idea about. I'm intrigued. Okay, so you find out it's not him. Oh my God. But do you think that you're in love with him at this point? Like, do you feel like you are in love with him?
Yeah, absolutely. 110% without question. That's how I felt.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was very confusing to me because I also have a pretty low tolerance for bullshit, like
Right.
and like I did have these feelings for him, but we were not in a relationship. And then I find out that the person that I'm talking to may not be the person that I'm talking to. And it was really difficult for me to reconcile the fact that, like, yeah, I had all these conversations with this person, told them lots of personal information, and I just don't feel like what they've said to me was all a lie. But I do know that part of it was.
So, in a scale of 1 to 10 in your love meter, where were you?
All the way up.
You're a 10, 11.
I might have been a 12. Like,
Damn.
no joke.
I think that's where you and I really work in like being best friends, because you're so sweet and give people the benefit of the doubt when I just think everybody is full of shit. And so if I'm talking to somebody on the internet and they're like, oh, hi, and I think you're this or that, and I'm like, you're a murderer. So I'm not going to tell you anything about me. You're going to know probably like 10 years down the road. But I think that's what makes you so cool. I mean, you were just thinking, this guy's being cool. He's nice. We get along. There's a lot of things I don't share with other people I'm sharing with this guy. And then that just sent you to like love number 12. Me, I think everybody is a criminal. So,
yeah.
And if it's like a petty crime, that's fine. Like if you stole money to feed your family, I'm with you,
Right.
But like if you burned the house down and killed everybody in it, no.
So this is where we balance each other out, but there is more to the story. So let me tell you what happened next.
Okay,
for most people, the story would end just dead in its tracks right there. But for me, it did not. So I took some time after we had this conversation and I got the email. And to be perfectly honest with you, for about a week and a half, I just went all over the internet looking for this person, pictures and information and, background and social media, which he did have, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, all of it. Just found everything.
Such a dick move.
Most of everything that he had told me was in fact true. The parts that were not true were his age and what he looked like and his
kind of key issues in a relationship.
Yeah, and things like his relationship status over long periods of time, like he was married for a while that I did not know about.
Wow.
Things of that nature. And I intook all of this information and I weighed it against what I still believed to be true about this person and the way that I felt. And what I decided was that I was going to contact him and we were going to discuss it. And he was either going to be straight up honest with me about everything or that was going to be it. But if he did choose to be honest with me, then we could try to see what would happen from there.
Right.
So I got in touch with him and we had a phone conversation and I said, look, I don't know why you felt like you had to lie to me about who you were or what you looked like or any of these things, because I'm not a superficial person and the things that I love about you are not superficial things. But you did feel that way and I'm sure that there's a reason. So I'd like to hear your side of the story.
So how old did he say that he was and how old was he really?
He only told me his age like when we first met and it was a couple of years older than me. So he was around 5 years older than me.
At that time, that would have made him what, like in his 20s?
Yes. That would have made him about 28.
And then he really was what?
He was 50.
Oh my goodness. And you know what's so ridiculous to me is that you wouldn't have cared.
I think the age that he picked was in proportion to the age that I was.
Right.
Because he didn't want to be automatically disqualified by how old he was.
Right.
Which in a way I can understand because it is intimidating meeting people over the internet and, starting to have feelings for someone and blah, 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 whatever.
So you tell him to come clean. And he says what?
I tell him that he has to come clean, and not just that he has to come clean, but you have to lay out every single lie that you've told me and you have to explain yourself. And then after all of that's done, I will decide whether or not we can move forward.
Okay. And so what does he tell you?
Well, if I remember correctly, he cried a little because he couldn't believe that I was giving him the opportunity to explain it.
No.
Which I guess I sort of understand.
I love you. He cried because he was caught. But also because he didn't want to lose you, I'm sure.
Come on now.
So what does he say?
He said he loved me. He said he would never lie to me again. And he starts to unravel these many, many years of things that were not true. And
so did he say anything that shocked you? Did he say anything that made you go, oh, shit?
There was something that he said later on, because this, again, is not the end of the story.
Right. So we keep going.
So he tells me all of this stuff, and the gist of why he lied, just because I'm sure you're curious, is he was at a place in his life where he was extremely unhappy with himself and was trying to have a internet personification of what it was he wished that he was, and just happened to meet me at the same time.
Bullshit. I'm sorry. I held that in as long as I could. I mean, but you know what? That's a really good answer to give to somebody that you know has a kind heart.
And it is believable in a sense, because most people wish they were someone else, you know, that happens. So it was not altogether unbelievable, especially coming from, you know, someone who I cared about very deeply.
Yeah.
And I wanted to believe him, you know? So we moved forward, and I decided we were going to attempt a long distance relationship.
Was Skype involved now or no?
Totally involved. Absolutely involved.
So we moved up to the actual webcam portion of the relationship.
Yeah. So things have moved forward, and I am feeling pretty good about it. And I chose to forgive him for the rest of it.
So how long did you webcam relationship?
Almost a year.
Okay. And there was no webcam sex or anything?
No.
Damn. I don't know. I feel like if I was having some sort of a long distance something with someone and we had, you know, access to a webcam, I'd be like, look, we're going to make this work. Okay, so you're webcamming this relationship now. You've made it official.
Made it official. And for a while, everything was real good. And then things got very strange. As he became more involved in my life, he also became more involved in my social media, because that's normal when you're dating someone to add them on Facebook and Instagram and these kind of things, right?
Right.
He started saying things about stuff that I would post, and it was more than concerning to me. It pissed me off.
It puts the lotion on. Okay, so what was he saying?
It was like, you know, you post a lot on Facebook, and I don't understand why you feel like you need all this attention.
What?
Yeah, that was what he said. And I was like, well, first of all, I don't feel like I need any attention. I just like to post things on Facebook. And if you'll notice, the majority of what I post is like little inspirational quotes and things like that, because there's enough shit out there on social media. I'd like to put some things into the world that make people smile.
Right.
You know?
And so that just came out of nowhere. There was nothing that like preempted him to say.
That led up to that, except that I added him as a friend on Facebook.
Oh, big mistake.
That was literally the only thing that came before that.
Okay, so like, hey, we've been together officially for a year. Let's like make this even more official and get on social media and show everybody that we have a relationship.
We hadn't been together for a year at this point. This was like 2 months in. Like this was right in the beginning when I added him onto my social media stuff. So we haven't even gotten up to the year yet.
Oh my God.
Pretty early on. And I was like, you know, I think you're maybe just looking at it differently from what it actually is. So I took some time and explained to him that I enjoy posting on Facebook.
Yeah, and you shouldn't have to even explain that. That's ridiculous.
Right. But I did, because it seemed to bother him. And so I took the time to explain it. And then it seemed to go away for a while.
Okay.
But just for a while. And then it came back up again. And it was like, oh, you know, I see that you're getting tagged in posts from bartenders, and you didn't tell me that you were out. And I was like, so then I had to explain to him how Facebook marketing works, where bartenders will say, come drink with me, and tag 45 people in the area to let people know that they're working, not because all 45 of those people were there drinking.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And you also know that you've been tagged in those kind of things millions of times and you weren't there.
I just feel like that's kind of like common sense. Unless you're a jealous weirdo, then it's not.
No, this was not common sense to him, and I had to explain it to him. And again, it seemed to disappear for a while. Move a couple months along, and it keeps coming up, you know, like, well, where were you last night? Why didn't you answer the phone when I called? And keep in mind, there's a 6-hour time difference. So he's 6 hours ahead of me. When it was my nighttime, he was asleep.
Well, no, he wasn't. He was stalking your Facebook. He was setting alarms to know how many bartenders you were having relations with at that time.
So we're about 6 months in and I'm starting to get pissed off. And I was like, okay, we got to talk. First of all, this jealousy thing that's going on is really pissing me off because I have done nothing to make you think that I am doing something out in the world that you would be unhappy with. Second of all, this possessiveness thing that you have, that's not working for me either.
Yeah, none of that behavior is normal. If you feel like your girlfriend or whatever is maybe doing something you don't like, you have a conversation.
It was just accusatory tone, like that's what I got.
Mm-hmm.
I did never get, hey, this is bothering me and I'd like to discuss it with you. It was just, why do you do this? And I don't understand. And you want so much attention and you lied to me because you said you weren't out, but this person tagged you in this post. And this is what I was getting on a fairly regular basis by this point, around 6 and 7 months in. And I was ready to end the relationship.
So what made you keep it? What made you keep going?
I don't just exit things without some kind of conversation. So I explained to him that this was pissing me off and that I was unhappy and that I was ready to end the relationship. And he was like, no, please don't end the relationship. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. I love you. And then he starts trying to explain himself, saying that the distance was really difficult. And, he had not spent any time with me, like face-to-face time with me. And
man, this guy has an answer for everything. It's incredible.
He did. He really, really did. And the fact that it went on for as long as it did really just proves that people will do almost anything if they want to believe that love exists somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of the show. It's that none of us are dumb. We can see clearly unless we're in love, and then we are just idiots. I mean, I have seen things and later I'm like, what? What was wrong with me? Really, what was wrong with me? Because when you say it back now, you hear it in the correct tone. But during, you're like, oh no, they don't mean that. It's because the moon was full yesterday. It's some stupid, bullshit excuse that we make because we just don't see clear. We really don't. So you believed it because you loved him at a scale of 12.
I did. I believed him and I genuinely wanted to believe him because I had spent so long caring about this person. So
I understand.
So then he explains to me and he says, if we can spend some time with each other.
That quality time is going to make everything better.
It's going to make it better. I have never been like this in another relationship. I've never been this jealous. I've never been this possessive. And I think it's because of the distance. I've never had a long distance relationship. So I took a trip overseas with a friend, but it was not to where he lived. It was to somewhere else entirely, but it was close.
Right.
And I was like, if you want to come be where I am, we can spend some time together. But you do need to understand that I am there doing other things, so I can't spend all of my time with you.
Right, and you guys have never seen each other in person, and this is a great chance.
So he agreed, and then there were problems. He did not have enough money to buy a plane ticket from where he was to where I was going to be.
So that was his excuse. I don't have the money to get a ticket to finally see this love of my life.
Huge fucking red flag, right?
Okay.
I did the dumbest thing I think I have ever done in my life. I paid for a fucking plane ticket for him.
Okay.
And I said, look, I'll get the plane ticket, but I can't pay for your hotel, so you're going to have to deal with that yourself.
You're
and
such
he was
a
like,
good soul.
I can deal with that.
You're a beautiful person in this world. I would have been like, what? Okay. All right. So you get him his ticket.
Yeah, I paid for the ticket and we meet, finally face to face. And it was really, really cool for about 3 hours.
Okay, so he sees you and he's like, oh, beautiful girl. Kiss, kiss, smooch, smooch. We're having this international love. And then what the fuck happens? How does he blow it in 3 hours when he had you on the hook for 7 years?
I arrive in the country. He arrives several hours later. We meet up and then we all go have lunch. And that was fine. And it was a lot of I can't believe I'm sitting in front of you and you're so beautiful and you look exactly like you do on the webcam. He was very smitten in the way that I would expect someone to be who's been in love with me for however long they said they've been in love with me. And this is the first time we have an opportunity to sit next to each other. And I was a little nervous and I was happy. And then after lunch, we walked around and did some sightseeing. And then we went to a bar near the hotel where I was staying with my friend. And we had a great time. Like we really, we had an amazing time. Like, we had some drinks and we talked to people that were in the bar. And so my friend went back to the hotel room and I was starving. So we went to find a late night place to get some food before I went to sleep, and then went back to the hotel room, and it was okay. It was okay. Like everything was fine. And then the next day is when.
Wait, when you say we went back to the hotel room and it was okay, cut to next morning. No. So you went back to the hotel room.
Oh, he didn't stay there that night.
Oh, okay. Because I was just like, was it mediocre sex? And you were just like, it was okay.
He had a hotel room across town. So he literally just dropped me off at my hotel room. We kissed at night. And then he had to go find a bus back to the other side of town because in Europe, everything stops running at 8:00.
Right. And how was the kiss? After all of this time, you get the kiss. What is it like?
It's good. It was not, there was nothing to complain about where that was concerned at all.
Was it worth the ticket price?
I'm going to go ahead. I'm not going to speak in hindsight, because in hindsight, absolutely fucking not. But if I'm talking about in that moment, I would have said yes, because we had a connection. Like that part was real. Like
yeah.
We definitely had a connection. Aside from all of that bullshit and all of the lies and all the other stuff, there was something there.
Oh, you know what? Thinking back, yes. I'm just like, no, fuck this guy. Let him hear this and cry.
Oh, God.
But, okay, so he drops you off, you have your kiss. It was worth every penny.
Yes. And then the next day comes around, and something had happened that night with our hotel room, and we had to cancel it after the first night we stayed there because it was so fucked up.
Damn.
And we ended up having to stay in the same hotel that he was in. The next day, we switched hotels and kind of crash out. And then I woke up and I was like, I need to go out and about. Like, I need to walk around the city and figure out where we are and like see where stuff is. So I went with him to walk around. But we did have some weird conversations in that second day.
Define weird.
A lot of them centered around, the jealousy and the possession that had been a problem in the first place, that he was very reassuring was going to go away as soon as we could be in front of each other. And we talked about it pretty openly, and I was like, do you feel differently now that we're together? And he was like, absolutely. I don't know what I was thinking. That's not me. Bullshit. Things like that. And then still comment about my social media, like he would say things almost in like he was concerned about me kind of way. Like, I don't think that it's healthy for you to be posting so much on Facebook.
Ew. I'm sorry. I had no other word. Ew. Dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Shaking it off.
And it was a little strange, and I'm trying to let it roll off.
So you're like trying to make it roll along, and you're trying to kind of understand his justification for this stupidity, even though deep down you know something's wrong.
We had dinner with my friend that evening at a place around the corner from where we were staying. And then I went back to his hotel room with him that night. And that was the first night that we were together any kind of physically. And it was great. Like, I'm not even going to lie about that.
See, again, not me. I'd be like, let me tell you something. He was an idiot. He didn't even know where to put things.
No, it was...
Sorry, man. I would be tearing this dude apart. So it was wonderful. You had a great night, which is, I guess, explains why you're still going. He fucked like a champ. He had a great kiss. You paid for the ticket. Everything was wonderful. Still.
Yes. So we're still in the green at this point.
Right.
Like, I am feeling at this point like everything he said to me was correct, that all of the jealousy and the possessiveness and stuff like that could have been attributed to the distance, and that the fact that we're together now seems to have changed things. The next day is where things turned. He came and had lunch with me and my friend. I'm just gonna lay this out there because this was the source of the fight. Okay.
Yeah, so, give it to me all the way. Don't hold back.
I started my period. So we're talking like I'm day 2 of my period, and we're out having lunch, and I'm in so much pain that I can barely function. Like I'm not able to sit up or sit still or eat anything. I was in a lot of pain.
Right.
And I took a pain pill. It was doctor prescribed, but it was definitely something that I only took like during the times when I needed it, like that.
Right.
And I took one, and he got all kinds of upset. Like, you don't
Are you
need that, and
serious?
I don't understand why you can't just deal with it like every other woman.
Does that prick have a uterus? Does he know how it works? Like, why is he mansplaining your own fucking period cramps?
Yeah, it was really weird, and I was in no mood to deal with it, and actually just really could not deal with it that well. So my friend stepped in and had some things to say.
Well, good. Yes. What did
Right.
she say to him?
She was like, you don't have any idea what this is like, and it's necessary. This medicine that she took, it's fucking necessary.
And I'm pretty sure if anybody took a brick and smashed his nuts for 5 minutes, he wouldn't have to explain why he needed a painkiller.
The majority of this conversation happened out in the street after lunch. So we were walking back to the hotel after lunch because my friend and I were getting ready to go out for the night. The whole reason we had gone out of the country was to see a concert, and it was that night. So back to the hotel, change and get dressed, and off to the concert hall.
So when he said these things to you, was he yelling them at you? Was he just like talking in a stern voice or?
No, he was actually kind of talking like a bitch, to be honest. About it. Like, it was really shitty, and like, if you could think of someone who's just being a bitch to be a bitch and that's how they're talking, he was kind of like that.
Yeah, I get it. What a dumbass. So you guys go to the concert. He's not invited.
He's not invited. And before we split off, he was going to go sort of in the same direction because he was meeting up with a friend who lived in the area. And we were going to take the train together. So apparently he said to me at some point, text me 10 minutes before you're ready to go. I didn't hear him say this. My friend didn't hear him say this. So we got ready to go and went down to his room and knocked on the door. And he was like, I told you to let me know when, like 10 minutes beforehand, I'm not ready. And I was like, well, we got to go.
Yeah.
And like, can you wait 10 minutes? And I was like, nope. And we left. And then he messaged me a little later and was like, do you want to meet up at this place around the corner from there when the concert's over and have a drink or whatever? And I was like, yeah. So we go to the show, and then we meet him at this place afterwards, and he is just being a pissy bitch.
We are now in the portion of the program where we are going to rip this guy a new asshole.
Yeah, we are. So
define pissy bitch.
First of all, he's giving me the cold shoulder. Like, he's not talking to me a lot, and he's acting really annoyed with me, but he won't tell me what's wrong. I was like, hey, you seem like something's up. Why don't you tell me what's up?
Right.
And he was like, nothing. It's nothing.
So he's ruining your night, not talking to you, not telling you what's bothering him, being kind of a weirdo. And then you guys, what?
He was clearly having his period, so it was time to go back to the hotel. And on the way back, I sat next to him on the train, and I linked my arm around his arm. And I was like, whenever you want to talk to me about what's going on, we can do that. And he was like, I don't think we should talk about it right now. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want to do. So the next day, he tells me that he felt ganged up on when me and my friend were talking to him in the street about the whole painkiller period issue.
So the bullcrap that he started, mansplaining to you about why you don't need a painkiller for your throbbing uterus, caused him to be sad because everybody was being so mean to him.
He was like, it was very public, and it was not, it was very rude of you to do it like that. And I don't understand why you have to discuss things with your friend that we talk about. I'm like, first of all, she was sitting right there. And second of all, she's my friend, and I'm going to discuss things with her if I fucking want to.
Yeah, and it's not like he pulled you in private and said, hey, I don't understand how these pills work. Or he did it in front of her. He did it out in public. He just didn't like it when it was turned back on him.
Yeah. And then he was like, you completely ignored me when I asked you to give me 10 minutes before you were ready to go to the train. I'm like, I didn't hear you. And honestly, I don't think it was said because my friend didn't hear you either. And he's getting really irritated. And I was like, you know what? I think that I need some time not around you right now. And he's like, well, I came all this way.
No, buddy, you didn't come all this way. I brought you here.
Yeah.
I came all this way. I tracked in the snow with my broken shoes. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. At this point, he doesn't think I've spent enough time with him. He doesn't think that I'm treating him right. He's got a whole bunch of So I went home.
So you go home, you continue to talk. You're still maintaining this relationship. And then
we decide I'm going to come visit him for 2 months.
2 months.
I almost canceled the trip 6 times before I actually went. We decided on the dates. I booked the ticket. I decided that this is what I wanted to do because I really cared about this person. And if it was going to have any chance at working, this was how it had to go. Like I needed to see him in his own environment to try to understand him in the context of his life and his friends and all of these things. And so I don't want to make it sound like, oh God, Alex, you must be so dumb for putting up with all of this stuff. Like he wasn't bad all of the time. It was not
No. And I just want to clarify that dumb for love doesn't mean that you're not smart. It means that for some portion of time in your life, you were blinded in the name of love. Yeah, like no one is too smart to be dumb for love.
No, you're damn right about that.
There are a lot of times, too, where we are at a point in our life where we're kind of being groomed and we are around people that are kind of manipulative and they know the right things to say. They know the right things to do. And they keep us in this circle of garbage that's terrible. But the more that they chip away at us, the longer we stay because we don't feel that we can do better. And that's kind of a part of being in this mess. So you in no way are an idiot. You are a human being and we've all done this.
We've all done it. That's very true. So I went to see him. I went there.
Okay.
And we had worked it out because he was actually going to be in the States for a while. So I booked my flight to New York where he was going to be. And then we flew over together on the same flight. I mean, it ended up costing me like $300 extra to do that. But I had not taken an international flight alone at that point. And I thought it would be nice to spend the time with him, like just to hang out and whatever and talk. He had been doing some big things in New York and I wanted to hear all about that, obviously. So we did that.
So you meet up.
We meet up at the airport and everything is great for maybe the first 2 hours. Things got a little awkward.
Right.
The way that he was talking to me was very like he was expecting something from me and I was not delivering and he was getting annoyed.
What was he expecting? And I mean, like, did he want you to join like the Mile High Club or something? Or
it was never something that we discussed at that point. It was just something that I felt very strongly while we were on the plane. So I ended up sleeping through most of that flight. And when I woke up, he was there. Here's the thing. One of the reasons that I almost canceled the trip is because before I left, we started discussing where I was going to stay when I was there. And I had stupidly assumed that he wanted me to stay with him. And then he was like, so we should rent you an apartment while you're here. And
what?
I'm like, I'm not going to be staying with you. And he was like, well, I live in a really small place and I've never lived with anyone before like that. And it makes me uncomfortable. And I work where I live. All of these fucking excuses.
Did he offer to pay for it?
Absolutely not. In another really just genius move on my part, I rented an apartment for about half of the time that I was going to be there. So the plan was I was going to stay with him for 2 weeks until this apartment was available. And then I was going to stay there for a month. And then I was going to stay with him for the last 2 weeks before I left.
Yeah, I totally would have thought he was married or had kids or had a girlfriend,
I was actually very concerned that he didn't seem to want me to stay with him. And through many, many conversations where I was like, well, I'm just going to cancel the trip. And he was like, no, don't do that. We came to this compromise. So I was going to stay with him and then I was going to have my own space. And then I was going to come stay with him again before I left.
Okay.
We arrive in the country. We go straight to his place because I have all my bags and I drop all my stuff at his place. I change my dirty flight clothes. And we go out to get something to eat. And that first day was very jet lagged and weird. And we ended up sleeping most of the day. Exactly like he had said, he has a very small place right in the middle of the city. It was a really cute location. Honestly, I liked it a lot.
Did he have a bed?
He did have a bed.
Then it's not that small. because guess what? That's where you're sleeping. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude.
It was like a studio apartment, and like the first couple of days I was there were really great. Like we didn't fight and we had a really good time and we went out and had drinks and we, hung out together and went to dinner. And it was like being in a relationship with someone that you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he said to me one night, he was like, I really regret pushing you to rent this apartment because I'm having such a wonderful time with you being here. I really feel bad about that. And I don't know why I was worried to have you stay with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's really sweet. But what's done is done. And then like the very next day, we had a fight about something minuscule that exploded into something much larger. And I was so angry that I started looking for flights home.
So when he would fight with you, did he get loud, aggressive, or was it like a passive aggressive type of an argument? Or
passive aggressive? He is a master manipulator, which is why he's got an answer for everything.
And everything's your fault.
Tons of gaslighting. So once the fight was over, it was, no, that wasn't that way. That's not how you remember that. And I'm here to say, like, I'm a fairly intelligent human being and I am very tuned into other people's emotions. And it is not beyond anyone to be caught up in the bullshit of a narcissist, because all that stuff that happened, I felt just like people say that they feel when that's happening, like I wasn't good enough or I was doing something wrong, or like maybe it wasn't the way that I remembered it, or maybe I'm crazy. Like I felt that way.
Yeah.
And I know now that that's not the truth of the situation, that I was definitely being manipulated where that was concerned.
Yeah. And this must have really hurt because you had all of these years of building this person up to be who you thought. He was showing you a certain person. And then here you are in front of him and it's kind of like a dream because you've imagined what it would be like to travel to where he lives and spend every day with him and walk around and talk. And now out of nowhere, because he's just this type of person, he's creating these arguments, these fights, these uncomfortable situations that are making you regret your decisions.
Right. After that fight, I do remember the second fight that we had, and this was the fight that caused me to book a hotel room until my apartment was ready.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I had been staying with him for, I think, 5 days, and then we had another fight that was directly related to sex.
Okay. You need to tell me all about that.
Here's what happened. I'd been there for about a week, and we had only slept together once because I was still trying to get comfortable in this new environment, and partially because I was not feeling well. The jet lag was really hard on my body.
Yeah, and then it's not like you have like a number of how many times you're supposed to do it, or that you're even supposed to do it at all, Well,
apparently I did, because he was unhappy with the number that existed.
What? What?
Yeah. He was unhappy, and he was like, when you did sleep with me, you had been drinking and maybe you're not attracted to me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All this stuff. And immediately I was like, well, now I don't want to sleep with you.
So when he had a problem with the number of times, like, what did he even say?
Out of the blue said, why aren't you sleeping with me?
Sleeping meaning fucking me, because he doesn't mean why aren't we cuddling in my tiny, tiny bed. He's saying, why aren't you having sex with me?
Yes. And he wanted
because you're asking me.
Exactly. That's why I knew you were going to understand, because like the moment that you start to ask for it is the moment I'm like, ew.
Yeah, because he was expecting it. It wasn't something that was like an organic thing and you guys are hanging out and you're like starting to get to know each other.
So now it's my fault.
Wasn't he drinking too?
It was a bunch of bullshit, honestly, because like this whole fight that we had did not need to be had.
Yeah.
If he had approached me romantically or kindly in any kind of way, this could have turned easily for him, but he did not do that.
He was coming from a place of entitlement.
It was real gross. And I said to him, I don't know what's going on with you, but until my apartment opens up, I'm just going to go get a hotel room so that I don't have to deal with it.
So you have no idea who this person is truly. And if they have like enough balls to cross the line to ask you a question like that,
that was the moment that really, really changed everything for me. All the other things I could understand and explain away. But once you get into things that have to do with me and my body and what you expect of me, I was like, this is not the person I know. I would have never thought that would be something he would say to me.
Wow.
Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a hotel room, and I decided like we could hang out, but I was not staying at his place.
So you still wanted to hang out with him after this? Like, what made you still want to hang out?
I think the only reason that I really wanted to hang out with him after that was the fact that like I was alone in a country that I didn't know very well, and he was the only person that I knew.
So the more that you guys hung out after you got your own place and you're settled in and you don't have to deal with that weird crap, were your hangouts fun, or was it just more of the same?
Like the entire time that I was there, we would fight back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then this other thing happened. Well, I was there for a long time.
2 months is a long time.
Especially when 4 days in, you're trying to look for a flight home.
Shit.
So one of my friends from here was going to be in the country at the same time as me because he was traveling with a band that had a European tour.
Oh, wow. Lucky.
Yeah. Like we were going to be in the same country at the same time, in the same city even. And he was super excited. We were going to have like an awesome couple days in the city together, like an adventure. And so he had asked if it was okay if he and a friend of his who was traveling as well stayed in the apartment with me for 1 or 2 nights. They weren't sure exactly. And I was like, yes, absolutely. This is somebody I've known since I was 19 years old. And I told my boyfriend, like, hey, he's going to come and stay with me. And one of his friends is going to come as well for a night or two. And he was like, well, I'm not sure that you can even have people stay with you in this apartment. He was looking for a reason that wasn't, I don't want this to happen.
That is a pattern of control. He was trying to find a way to control you. And the moment that you weren't walking in his line, he was getting mad at you and it was your fault.
Absolutely. Every single time. And then it finally came out. He was like, it's improper for you to have men staying in the apartment with you alone. And I said, you can stay too. And he refused to stay in the apartment too, because then he had no reason to bitch.
Yeah, because if he was any kind of concerned, he'd be like, look, just in case, it's not that I need to check up on you. You know, I'm going to be there just in case you need me. Or because, hey, you traveled all the way to this fucking country for me. Let me go spend as much time with you as possible and make it fun.
Yeah, well, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. So not my friend, but his friend, who I had only met like once or twice before this, showed up first into town. So our plan was we were going to show his friend around the city a little bit. And then me and my boyfriend were going to go meet all of them there for the show that night. Okay. And then that night we would all go out afterwards and they would come back to the apartment with me to stay.
Right. Which all sounds like a regular plan that nobody should really have a big deal with.
So everything was fine during the first part of this plan, which was, you know, my friend's friend showed up at my place. We walked around, we had lunch, he took off. I got myself ready. My boyfriend got himself ready, and he had not met my friend that was coming. I told him about him. I'm like, you know, I've known him for a really long time and you're going to love it.
Right. And here you are trying to include everybody. You know, you're not being weird or shady and being like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out with this new guy for like a couple hours. You know what I mean? And even if you did, it's still not shady because he should know you. And that's the point of being together is trust. So he's already being this weirdo fucking asshole that's like minding all your shit and making you feel like you're doing something wrong that you're not. And here, every step of the way, you are making him feel as comfortable as possible, even though that's not your job.
I would say that this was the eye-opening thing that was like, I'm never, ever going to see this person again after I get back home.
Wow. Okay.
So we get to the venue and my boyfriend has invited one of his friends and we're sitting in this lounge area. They had like a bar there. And I text my friend and he's like, hey, we're having dinner down the street, but we're going to be back in a little bit. So hang tight, have a drink. We'll see you shortly. I'm like, cool, that's great. I give them the information. We have a drink. And then my friend shows up and I got up out of my seat and I ran over to him and I gave him a really big bear hug because I was really excited. You know, we're in a different country.
Yeah, that's just exciting.
I gave him a huge hug. I introduced him to my boyfriend. I introduced him to my boyfriend's friend. And then he's like, you know, I got to go do some work, but I'm really excited to hang out with you guys afterwards. I have some friends that are throwing like an after party. Do you guys want to go? And I was like, yes, absolutely. So my friend goes off to work and my boyfriend is being a pissy bitch again. And, and he looks at me with just deadpan face and goes, you didn't have to lie to me. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
he's like, about your relationship with your friend. It's obvious, Alex. It's obvious. And it just walks away.
Ugh. This guy, I'm telling you, the more that you talk about him, the more I just want to puke. It's like he's totally cool when his friends are around. He's totally cool when he's in charge of whatever the hell is going on. But the moment you have people around, either you want them or he's upset that they might actually like stand up for you because he can't truly be himself when your friends are around because he saw what happened the last time. So he's not thrilled. It has nothing to do with this person being a guy, just because it's another person. Because the first person that you talked about, which was your friend at lunch, is a girl.
Yep, it is a girl.
He's just a prick.
Looking back on it, it is extremely clear to me that if he had gotten his way, he would have separated me from everything and everyone that I'm connected with now. And that would have made him perfectly happy. Of course, that was never going to happen because I actually have very strong bonds with the people that I care about. And there's no fucking way that any relationship I'm in is going to take me away from them. Like, not going to happen.
But think about these people that don't have strong people to help them or to at least let them see the light where they're in it all by themselves and they just go further down the hole feeling like that's all that they have, until they're broken. So the fact things were starting to take place to kind of shine a light before it was too late is great.
I was so done at this point, Jean. I was like, I was over it. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck he's trying to accuse me of. And I really don't give a good goddamn anymore. So I walked off alone in this venue where I don't know people or anyone. And I'm listening to the music and I am ignoring the fact that he's unhappy.
Yeah.
So the concert's over and I go to this after party.
Which clearly your boyfriend was invited to.
And he says to me, oh, so I guess you're just going to make plans for both of us. I'm like, no, you don't have to come.
Oh, God. Wait, I'm going to give you a round of applause right now. Woo! Okay.
And of course he did. Like he didn't want to leave me alone with my friend, right?
Of course not.
But anyway, that night went how it went. We went to the party and we met a bunch of weird people. We got some really late night food down around the corner from the apartment I was staying in, and then we all went to sleep because we were exhausted. And my boyfriend went back to his apartment. He did not stay that night. The next day, I get a phone call from my boyfriend.
Right.
And I answer it and I'm like, hey. And he's like, where are you?
What makes him think he can talk to you like that?
I'm like, I'm walking down the street with my friends. We're going to this street fair. Well, but where are you? I'm like, I'm around the corner from the apartment. He's like, I don't understand why you won't tell me what street you're on. What are you trying to hide?
This dude is too much.
That's literally what happened. And I immediately like flipped from sweet Alex to pissed Alex. And I was like, who the fuck do you think you are talking to me like that? I told you where I was 3 fucking times. Just because you don't have the capacity to listen doesn't mean that I'm lying to you.
Good.
And I said it really fucking loud too.
Yeah, and he was like beyond an asshole. I mean, he was kind of like borderline abusive. Yeah. My own parents wouldn't call and just not even say hello. How are you doing? Where are you? Yeah, who does that? This prick does.
This prick, yeah. So he got really upset with me because of the way I talked to him and didn't want to talk to me for a while. And then, because I didn't have my phone in my hand, it was in my bag. And then I did notice that I had missed some calls, so I called him back. Just like, you're not answering my phone calls. What the hell's going on, Alex? I don't understand. What is it that you're doing with your friends? Are you fucking them?
And there it is.
There it is.
And there it is. I have said this to you before. It is a good amount of time that you're spending with someone that they show you their ass. And he couldn't even contain it for hours on end. And then finally, this dude that I guess is just used to controlling women like this, he just broke and the floodgates opened and everything poured out. And you heard the real person you had been talking to for 7 years without the mask. Maybe he thought you were like a docile person that wouldn't say anything back just because you're so sweet. And sometimes people can misunderstand your sweetness for being a pushover or somebody that would just allow themselves to be treated that way. And there are people in this world that don't mean to be that way, but that is just who they are, and people take advantage. So I'm in no way saying that if you're that way, it's your fault. But I think he thought you were in that realm for him, and he was excited about what he was going to be able to do with you.
Yeah, I would venture to say that that's probably close to correct, because it was almost immediate when I stopped giving a shit about what it was that he would want or what it was that he would think about how I was acting or what I was saying or what I was doing, he couldn't hold it together anymore. Like he definitely was different at that point.
Ugh.
And I was like, you know what? I'm not interested in fighting anymore. You can say whatever it is that you want to say to me, but I have no time for this anymore.
Wow. You were there for how much longer? And did you continue to hang out with him, or was that the last day?
I was there for 3 more weeks. And then he called me and he was like, please meet me at this bar around the corner. I'm so sorry. And I'm so scared about what's going on with my health. And I just really need somebody to talk to and, you know, all this stuff. And he's like in tears and I felt bad for him.
Oh.
I did.
Oh, God, you make me ache.
And this bar, by the way, he had told me was his favorite bar when I first got into town. And we went there and you know, I had a like shot of whiskey or something because I was just like nerve shot at this point, you know?
Right. So he shows up.
All
boo-hoo-hoo.
He has a drink. He's trying to explain to me that he had been to the doctor and that the doctor had said that at some point in the past that he had had a stroke. And I'm like, that's really sad. I'm sorry to hear that. And he's like, I think this is why all these things are happening. And I'm like, you know, that may be true. And if it is, that really sucks for you. But I don't want to deal with it anymore. And he was like, why can't you just love me even though I'm ill?
And for 7 years, I mean, I sit here and I think to myself, what kind of a true prick do you have to be to throw your own brain under the bus? Like, just take responsibility for the fact that you are just a piece of shit.
Yep.
Because there are real people out there that are suffering right now that have had strokes or have mental illness. And to not know for sure that that's what's going on with you and to use that is so fucked up, especially to a person that you already know is like a kitten and is going to be like, oh, my heart.
I didn't even know if it was true or not because it's not like he had documentation. He just told me what the doctor said.
So he didn't show up with any kind of a medical file under somebody else's name entirely?
No, he didn't. So we're sitting at the bar, right? And then he leaves for a little bit to go get cigarettes. Okay. And in the like 10 minutes that he's gone, the bartender spoke very good English. So we chatted briefly and then, you know, he went about his bartending business. So when the boyfriend got back, I had just said some kind of comment that was related to what we had just talked
right.
about.
It was an innocent comment to the wrong person.
Right. And he's like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, we talked while you were gone. And he's like, Jesus, Alex, I leave for 5 minutes and you have to flirt with everybody you see. And I said, can I have my check, please? And he goes to get my check. And my boyfriend looks at me and says, I don't have any money.
Come on. Oh, my God.
I said, then why did you invite me out for a drink, you dick?
Oh, my God. Like,
and he was like, I mean, can you pay for this? I fucking threw money at him. And when I say I threw it, I mean, I fucking balled it up and threw it at his face. I was so mad. I could not believe that this motherfucker had put me through everything he put me through, invited me to come out to have a drink so he could boo-hoo all over me about how he was sick, okay? And then didn't even bring any goddamn money to pay for the drink. I had to pay for his fucking drink.
What an idiot.
Like, it was maybe 6 blocks from my apartment. It's the dead of night, and I'm just walking by myself. Like, I'm so angry. I have, like, rage blinders on, you know what I mean?
Wow.
So I got back to the apartment, and about a week later was my birthday. He was in the hospital because he thought he had a stroke.
Was he really in the hospital, though? Do we have documented proof?
I walked there to see for myself if he was really in the hospital, and he was. And I spent about an hour there deciding that this was the last time I was going to have any contact with this motherfucker. And other than when I left for the airport, it was. Oh, and when the apartment was done, I still had 2 weeks in the country. I had to book another hotel room because I was sure as hell not staying with him.
Oh, so much money wasted.
Yeah.
Terrible. Horrible, terrible story. I'm so sorry that any of that took place. You knew better than to tell me all the details because I would have hopped on a flight, walked in like an episode of Peaky Blinders, and beaten the crap out of him with a newspaper I found on the street. But I don't condone violence. seriously though, what I would really like to ask, what do you feel like you learned from this? Because I feel like everything happens to us and then later we go, oh, this helped me for later. So what do you feel like you learned from this?
A couple of things, but I would say first and foremost, the thing that I learned is that if something seems off about anything, like pay attention to that feeling. Like I really, really learned to trust my gut a lot more than I did before because I let so much go in that scenario, the whole long drawn out scenario with this guy, that looking back was like blazing on fire red flags that now when someone says something or does something that feels like bullshit, I investigate and I don't immediately believe them.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Because I mean, that's very hard for people to really let sink in. We have these instincts for a reason. And if you hear something that makes you go, really question it because that's your intuition trying to warn you. And even if you look into it and everything's fine, at least you did, but that's the least you should do for yourself. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, nobody on this planet is so squeaky clean that you're just going to take their word for it.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that makes you uncomfortable, that's going to compromise you, the kind of person that you are, or how you feel or how you are treated. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the lesson that you learned from here was really important, which I feel made you stronger. You know, you've always been a kind-hearted individual, and you can be that, but also be like, fuck you, I think you might be a killer. Because everybody, like I said, to me, is some sort of a criminal. So you have to always have that in the back of your mind. And then when they're not,
Yeah.
I'm so pleasantly surprised. So as sad as I am that I get to have this podcast called Dumb for Love, I'm happy that I get to have it because at least it's a place where we can kind of come together and share our stories and feel like we're not alone in the crazy things we did in that moment in the name of love.
Yeah.
So in closing, I just want to say that I love how open and honest you were. Because to me, that's really brave.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to be that brave, but I'm sure at some point we'll get to my Dumb for Love story. You just have to keep tuning in to see when. So I'd like to take a moment and talk about a fun segment we will be featuring on this show called Jean's Callouts. Kind of think of it as an anti-dedication. So instead of like, Broseph, I love you, I miss you, come back. It's more like, Broseph, you stole my dog, burn in hell. So feel free to send these over to me. Just go to dumbforlove.com for details. And now for my first call out. To Anthony, in quotations. Go fuck yourself. And you don't deserve anybody to love you. So that's how I feel about it.
Wow.
Anybody that crosses the path of Anthony, just steer clear. So thanks for being on the show. I had so much fun.
Inviting me.
You were amazing, and your story was so crazy.
Well, you asked for a Dumb for Love story. That's what you get.
That's definitely what you gave me. It was so great to talk to you. Bye, love.
Bye.
And now on to a dramatized news segment we like to call Love Declassified, as narrated by Cat Lady.
Guy at Home Depot, Gulf to Bay. Hey, stud. I'm the man you spoke with for carpentry advice this week. I felt the connection but didn't get your number. Write me back so we can meet and chat more about tools.
Okay, Cat Lady, what I don't understand is if they're there in front of each other, why wait to put an ad? That seems like so much more trouble.
That's honestly at the root of most of these, though, is we had a moment, but I didn't get your number.
He wanted
Please
him
find
to
this
write it
ad.
on the piece of wood. Oh my God. I hope it works out.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, Home Depot lovin'.
There were a number of puns that popped into my head as
Yeah.
I saw Guy at Home Depot.
Oh, God.
And it was,
Did he have a bag of tools?
was there wood polishing materials? in
Did
the
he want to get
background?
nailed? Okay, moving on.
Okay.
What was the next one?
We bumped chests at Wawa, Northdale Maubrey. I was going into the Wawa on Northdale Maubrey as you were leaving, and when we were trying to hold the door, our chests pressed together and we both blushed. When I was getting back in the car, we looked at each other and you were holding back a giggle. I'm 60 and you are about the same age as me. Reply with the color dress we were wearing.
Now, this could be either really cute or really bad, because what if the person isn't the same age?
Oh.
What if the person got it entirely wrong and now this other person is highly offended because they think that they look like they're in their 60s?
What if they're actually in their 80s and they're very flattered?
Okay, yeah, this is true. But that one was kind of cute.
Yeah.
Aw.
I kind of
I
hope
hope they have Wawa love.
yeah, it works out for the old ladies at the Wawa.
Well, they can go in and have a Slurpee or whatever drink they have at Wawa.
Get a coffee and, they could call each other honey bun.
Oh, that's so cute. Hey, if you are out there, Wawa ladies, give us a call. If it went well, I mean, I'm all happy about a nice, happy ending. That's a very bad way to say it. Give us a call and let us know how it went. If you guys met up, if you figured out the dress color or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Beautiful blonde and red Buick Enclave, Brandon. We met at Nordstrom parking lot the night before Christmas Eve. Reward if found. Do not contact me with any unsolicited offers or services.
I don't understand this one.
Yeah.
Who is getting the reward?
I really hope no one gets that
Reward
reward.
if found.
If found.
I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. So they're looking for the person they met in the Nordstrom parking lot
on Christmas Eve.
And they're willing to give someone out there a reward if they find them?
If they track them down.
Oh my gosh. I don't think that I like that.
No.
But they gave them no details. Hey, it was a Nordstrom parking lot around Christmas. What did they look like? Did they have a descriptor? This girl wearing a leather jacket with a tattoo on her face. You know, it's a blonde around Christmas in the Nordstrom parking lot.
Perhaps it is bold of us to assume that there ever was a beautiful blonde and that this person isn't just looking for any beautiful blonde.
Or what if it's a dog? Like a beautiful, like, blonde golden dog. Retriever. And that's why there's a reward.
Oh my God.
Maybe he lost his dog.
The dog he met.
Maybe he had a strong connection and he feels like, I need to adopt this dog. And he's willing to offer a reward.
This is still a really criminal route that he's going to take someone's dog.
No, because he's offering a reward. So maybe he wants to pay for the dog.
He doesn't say, I'll buy your dog. He says reward if found.
That is the creepiest.
So if anyone out there has spotted a beautiful blonde in a red Buick Enclave that they know was at Nordstrom the night before Christmas Eve, do not answer this ad.
Don't.
And what really gets me is that a lot of these ads go into detail about, at the very least, and this is still wrong, but you gave me a look and it felt special. And while that is no basis for trying to reconnect with someone, I don't even know if I feel confident that this person talked to beautiful blonde in red Buick Enclave.
So he just saw the back of her head. This is horrible. I don't understand that ad.
It's very bad.
It freaks me out.
Anyway, let's just think again about
the Wawa.
The Wawa
beautiful
ladies.
Wawa ladies.
See, that's what makes this all worthwhile.
We want you on the show, Wawa ladies.
Worthwhile at Wawa.
We like you.
Yeah.
So to close out this segment, I think we really need to do the world a service and rate these ads from best to worst.
Yeah.
You know, just some helpful guidelines so that people can up the ante on their own future classified ads.
It's constructive.
Yeah, it's constructive. Never destructive.
Correct.
Okay. So I have to say that number one, being the best, were the Wawa ladies.
Yes.
That was so sweet. It didn't creep me out.
No.
It made me feel like something really magical took place. You guys actually had an exchange with each other. It seemed normal.
And very cute.
Good.
Yeah.
And cute. So number two for me would be Guy at Home Depot. I think what would help this a little bit is...
Warmed it up a little bit.
If you warmed it up a little bit.
It's a little clinical.
Yeah. Guy at Home Depot. That could really be any guy at Home Depot.
You could put handsome guy at Home Depot.
Handsome guy.
Guy with the
sweet
great
guy.
blue eyes, you know? Brown eyes.
Yeah.
Guy with the great eyes at Home Depot.
Guy with the great eyes at Home Depot. Yeah, okay. Now, the one...
Dead last
is beautiful blonde in the red Buick. Because... I don't know.
It was nondescriptive and terrifying.
I feel like when I look at this, it should be with cutout magazine letters. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be our helpful hint. Talk more about what she looked like. You know, she was wearing a beautiful jacket. It makes us feel like you were really paying attention to the details because
as like a person.
You cared for the whole idea of her and not just what seems to be the pieces that you selected to talk about.
Her hair and her car.
I have strong feelings about this one.
The word reward should probably not be in there at all.
Yeah, I don't understand that. So you should have probably been more clear about that or said, hey, if anybody knows who this might be, I'm so excited to meet her. I'd even, offer a free dinner, but not a reward.
I'll give you a high five.
Starbucks, coffee. I don't know how I feel about a reward.
What gets me is that someone who provides details of beautiful blonde and red Buick Enclave is promised a reward, but she's not even promised a lunch date.
But even people that lose their cat, they'll write out black and white tabby.
Yeah.
Loves long walks on the beach. She wears a beautiful necklace with a heart on it.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
you know what I mean?
The person
and
who
it's
stands
a cat.
to gain the most out of this is the person who provides the information. What does she get out of this?
She gets to be found
there's
from
not
a reward.
Yeah, there's not even a promise of coffee.
Yeah, it's like she's not missing.
No.
Don't offer a reward.
Yeah,
I don't like this.
It does not sound good.
Yeah, it's just... yeah, I have to put this down.
You gotta put it down.
It's just freaking me out. Thank you so much, Cat Lady, for curating our news segment. You're so informative, and I'm looking forward to your next news segments on our upcoming episodes.
Oh, they're coming.
Thank you for joining us today, and we hope that we made you feel a little bit better about that time you gave Jenny your family dog in the 6th grade just to get her attention. Visit us on social media via @DumbForLove. That's DUMB, 4, LOVE. Or visit our website, dumbforlove.com. You can find all of these links in the About section of this podcast and episodes on all platforms. If you're enjoying Dumb for Love, tell your friends, family members, ghosts, and coworkers about it. And don't forget to rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review, and if we love it, we'll read it on an upcoming episode. And our favorite one at the end of the season will get the honor of receiving Gene Morrison's world-famous brookies, just like Pop Pop, a.k.a. Abuelito used to eat. This is Gene Morrison, signing off, reminding you that we are never too smart to be dumb for love.
Dumb for Love is a Vex Network production. Copyright 2019 by the Vex Group, LLC. All rights reserved. Executive producers, Gene Morrison and Diego Paul Sanchez. Production and editing by the Vex Group. Additional writers, Aja Reyes, Jamie, Cat Lady, and Gene Morrison. Music by the Hush Brothers. Cover art, the Vex Group. Special guest, Alex. Our news segment today was sourced from Craigslist Missed Connections. All rights reserved. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dumb for Love. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on all the platforms. And if you enjoy our show, tell your friends and donate to our coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/dumbforlove. For more information and all of these links, check out our website, dumbforlove.com.